So after doing a little research, this is a Bosch alternator, and this is a Vallejo alternator, and these two alternators have a different pulley type. Now, they're supposed to be different as in they can't mount the same as each other, but as you see, the shaft is exactly the same along with the threads. So although this pulley is made for a Vallejo type alternator, it does fit on this. So I'm not sure how this alternator ended up with this pulley on it. But that's what the problem is. So I needed a different pulley type to get this one to work. It's just weird that it worked with this pulley on a different car. I don't know, but my new alternator is in stock, so I'm going to throw this on here. Where is the nut? I think it's in my back seat. Oh, it's in my back seat. One nut. Oh, you know what? I bet it's, yep, in the socket. So let's see, whichever nut is nicer. So I'll keep this one. So now the goal is just going to throw this on here. Doesn't have to be super tight, just tight enough. So e-bike to the rescue. Don't mind the rusty chain. It sits all the time, every time outside, so like I can't keep rust off the chain. I clean it almost every time before I ride it, make sure it's all nice and lubricated, and from sitting it always rusts. It needs to get stored inside, that's all. But e-bike to the rescue. I'm going to ride this over to the next town to go pick up the new alternator. I got this little basket on the back. I've got this tied into the basket with a couple of bungee cords. I got one going over this way and loops around and goes that way. So it's like 360 strapped down and into this corner. So it shouldn't go anywhere, should be all right. This one is staying here, and it will be reinstalled onto the other sedan. I might have to get a new new pulley for it. I know the other one did work, but it's just weird to me that it has a Vallejo pulley on a Bosch alternator. But yeah, I'm gonna throw some air in the tires, lube up this chain, and make my way over to the next town to pick up my new alternator. I think it sucks that I had to ride my bike to the parts of the alternator, but if I'm being honest, it's a beautiful day for a bike, and this bike is good. So alternator is fire. I also picked up some ATF, so I can swap out my power steering with support, because there's a filter in the bottom of it, and I just want to swap it out to make sure that my pump is getting clean fluid. But I'm about halfway back. Finish up this bike ride and get the alternator in, make sure everything's good. icy weather. So it is a beautiful day for hiking. Maybe not under these circumstances where it's not working, but it's a beautiful day for hiking. So this is the new alternator, obviously. The only difference between the two is, well, besides this is a name brand Bosch and this is an Ultima, which, if we're going to be honest, is the same thing as the Bosch. If I had to guess, I would say that these two are probably made in the same factory. But as I drop a bunch of stuff, as you can see, they have different pulley types on them. But if you line them up, you can see how much further out that pulley sticks than this pulley. So just judging by that, without even putting it in the car or anything yet, it looks like this is going to work. And it's all just based on the size of this pulley. There was one other test I wanted to do. So I just pulled that off of the Bosch one. And you can see when the pulleys are lined up together, how much further this one sits into the housing versus this one, which just sits on top. So that was the issue. That was the only issue. I don't know where this Bosch alternator came from, or why I don't have a proper pulley for it, or how it was working on that other car without throwing a belt. But this is the type of pulley that is supposed to be on here in order to get it to work with this car. So now what I have to do, and of course I'm at home so I don't have any of my tools, it's way easier to get the belt out because it has to go around the fan. I don't have the tools to get the fan off here, so yeah, that's great. So basically what I have to do is I have to sneak the belt up and around the fan inside the shroud and then get it where it's supposed to go. But first, I'm going to install the new alternator and get that. Actually, no, I'm going to do the belt first. So that way I have, because the alternator goes right here. Alternator goes right here. So with the alternator out of the way, I actually have more room in the engine bay to work and get the belt out. So I'm going to do the belt first, get the old belt out of the way, get the new belt into position, and then I will install the alternator. All right, she is all back together with the fresh alternator and fresh belt. Everything is aligned well, so let's see how she does. And the moment of truth. Heyo. That's what we like to see. That's just my low idle because it's cold. When it's idling where it's supposed to be at 1,000. When it's idling where it's supposed to be at 1,000 RPMs, we're good. So it works. And see what I mean by it just doesn't run well when it's cold. Let it warm up a little bit. those things where like I really want to get the car retuned so the drivability and the cold start is better, but I don't want to take it to anybody else and get it retuned because it's been running and driving for 5 years now, and I just am scared that, you know, something might happen if I get the car retuned. But let's check the belt, make sure it's going smooth. Yeah, that's nice. No more whine. Doesn't sound like the car is supercharged anymore. New alternator. Cool. So I'm very curious to check this out when I get back to the shop, just to see what's going on with this thing, because it is just so strange to me that there's a Vallejo type pulley on this alternator and that it wasn't spitting a belt. I don't know, but my car's good to go now. Probably go out and test it a little bit later. Not gonna record any of that, but I was a little worried. I was definitely a little worried when, you know, out of, what was it? I tried the S50 alternator, I tried the M52 alternator, I tried another M52 alternator, and the original alternator that was on the car. So out of 4 alternators, one of them whined really bad and barely was over 13.5 volts. The other one barely over 13 volts. The other one, it broke internally trying to remove a wire. So like, okay, that was great. So that one probably just needs a voltage regulator. But out of the 3 alternators, I didn't have any alternators. And then I finally had one that I knew worked because it's on a car and it has the wrong pulley, but I don't have the right pulley to make it work. Like, it blew my mind. I was dumbfounded last night. And then I spent like my whole evening trying to track down an alternator that I could, you know, get today, that I didn't have to drive the car far, because the car wasn't going to make it far with the wrong alternator, with the right alternator with the wrong pulley on it. And oh, what a mess. What a mess. But it ended with a good bike ride, and my car is all back together. It has a brand new 140 amp alternator that is doing its thing and charging the car as it's supposed to. So I'm excited about that, and that's really it. I got nothing else. I have a new reservoir for my power steering, so I want to swap that out because it has an internal filter. But I don't think I'm going to do anything else car related today. My car's all situated for the moment. I have some stuff on the stove. I'm hungry. I guess you could say it's been a successful day. Yesterday was very frustrating, but I'm glad that it turned out the way it did. And, you know, yes, it sucks that I had to buy a new alternator, but I always give Louis shit for this. He always tries to do the same exact thing where, you know, we have the parts, so let's just try and make the parts work that we have, when it's so much easier if you just buy a new part and replace the old shitty part with the new part, instead of trying to get a bunch of different old parts to put together to be one good part. Like, it's just replace it. Stop trying to make old stuff work. Just replace it. They sell replacements. Just replace it. But Had a good bike ride. Car works. Car charges itself. Not throwing belts. Not belts not squealing or anything, you know. Yeah. Good car is good.